Brought to you by WKTV. I'm Wayne Thomas. Welcome to another Grand Rapids Ghost Hunters podcast. Thank you for joining our forum in search of paranormal possibilities. We ask that you please keep an open mind about things that you might not easily believe as we explore the mysterious. Thanks again to WKTV producers Matt Zuby last time. We got the G-Man here tonight, Gene Gregory. Thanks, Gene. And let's meet our special guest, Esther Joy, and our co-host Kim Kolean and Brandon Jose.
Hello.
Hello.
Well,
You want to go first?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, what brings you to the table?
Well, I am Esther Joy. I'm a tarot reader. Currently, I'm working out of the Paddock Place, which is in Easttown. I've been reading for 8 years, professionally for 1 now. And so I'm here to teach you a little bit about the tarot.
And you have some psychic abilities. I don't know if you were born with those or what exactly.
I was. I grew up very conservative Christian, so initially it was something that I wasn't very comfortable having. So I shut them off quite a bit. So in the last, decade, I've been working pretty hard on kind of releasing some old core beliefs that are not necessarily as true as I thought they were.
I think you're not the only one that's tried to ignore those things at some time in their life. Either they're afraid they're going to get ridiculed or they'd rather keep it a secret.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then let's meet the rest of the panel here.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kim Kolean from the Tulip City Ghostbusters. So we're an organization basically that goes around and does cosplay of Ghostbusters and then assists different charities in their fundraising efforts.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Brandon Jose of Kent County Paranormal, or Paranormal Investigation Team. Help with smudging and cleansing or whatever you need. You can contact me at kentcountyparanormal@hotmail.com.
Brandon also runs the Spirit Doorway, another paranormal show that's brought to you by WKTV also, so you can check that out. Yeah, Brandon's busy all the time, and so is Kim, too, doing the charity work. One hangs out in the hospital and one hangs out in the cemeteries.
Right.
Busy.
Right. I'm all over the place,
Yeah.
Not only hospitals, but
And then
wherever the need is.
yeah, not only hospitals, but
Yeah.
at the end of the show, we always do our final thoughts. So if we get to that point, there's something that you didn't get in, you want to, or if you want to plug something, some upcoming events, we always do that. And I know these guys are both going to have different things to plug.
Yep.
Like I say, they're busy. Brandon's been paranormal investigator since 2011 with different teams. You've worked with different teams. So he's seen a lot. He's also seen the smudging that I do, and we covered that kind of in the last podcast. But, our literary reference this week was A Crystal Ball. Nice job, Kim.
Oh, thanks.
Right. And then it's lighthearted, but it kind of talks about, foretelling the future. I'm thinking that's kind of what you do.
A little bit.
I guess you can't walk through this door without us putting some kind of label on you.
Right.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Tarot reader more than fortune teller, although they do tend to run pretty close together.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just do a quick review of our last show. Like I say, it was Lakeshore Paranormal with Darren Dykehouse
Yep.
and Jamie
Ray. Yep.
And she was like, she lit this place up.
Oh, man. That girl can talk.
She was a wild ride.
But, all interesting stuff.
Right. And then we got kind of an introduction into the crystals. And as you can see, the table's covered with giant crystals this week. So we're going to learn more about that. And I am interested because when I ran into you at Paddock Place, I was at the time looking into that citrine.
Yes.
And you have citrine sitting on the table, right?
Yep, right here. This is this big
Oh,
jewel
that
right
looks
here.
cool.
Yep.
It's a big chunk. For just the listeners, I guess it's about as big around as a baseball. It's not completely round, but it's a huge crystal. Yeah. And it has a lot of brownish gold kind of a tint to it.
Yes.
They make a lot of jewelry out of that stone, don't they?
Definitely. Yeah.
What does that stone specifically do?
Well, citrine, I brought a list because I have a lot of different ones with me today. Citrine mainly is used for cleansing your chakras and also opening your intuition. It's a big one for attracting success or money or wealth, that kind of a thing, but also raising self-esteem and your self-confidence as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought I heard it was called the Success Stone.
Yes, yeah. And that, citrine usually shows up as more of a yellow, and yellow is a big abundance color, so anything trying to attract wealth or abundance. Yellow is good, citrine is good.
Gold is good.
Gold is good.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, stacks of gold is good.
Now, I've asked this question before of other guests. Now, since they make jewelry out of that, if you wear a piece of jewelry, is that the same as having a stone like that was, not manufactured in any sort of way? Does it change the aspect of the stone versus it being in its natural form versus being extracted and put into a piece of jewelry? Does it change?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think that using them and wearing them in any way is useful and it works.
Okay.
Having the raw crystals versus having them then going through that process, it can change them, but it really comes down to your intentions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the last podcast, we talked about, Jamie Ray talked about the cleansing
Yes.
of the crystals.
Yes.
And it was kind of weird, I thought, a little bit strange.
Yeah.
Take
The
it out into
process.
the full moon.
Yep. Taking them out into the full moon is a great way to cleanse them and charge them. Lunar energy especially is really, it cuts right into things. And it's like a blasting beam. Most crystals, like with this big amethyst cluster, amethyst, you can't put it in the sun, it'll actually bleach it. So moonlight's a lot safer to work with crystals, even though sun will charge them too, but moon you can put them out and then not really have to worry about it too much.
Right.
Kim, can you turn that amethyst around a little
Yeah,
bit?
of course, so people can yeah, it's beautiful. Look at that.
Right.
Thank you. It was
And some of these littler ones may be hidden. Do you want to go through each one to kind of just, this little polka dot one is interesting. I'm like, this is something I might find in my landscape.
Yes,
Honestly.
and a lot of them, yes, I do find them. And so with that, for me anyways, other people might do it differently.
Yeah.
With me, it comes down to how does it feel?
Okay.
And so a lot of these I've actually found just walking around.
I know, this looks like
and it's
something
like, hey,
just
this
you'd
just
walk around
it
and-
feels really nice in my hand, and then I can kind of set the intention however I want it.
Oh.
So with this one, this is a Dalmatian Jasper.
Okay.
And this one, it also hits in
White
with that.
with black polka dots,
Yes.
kind of.
Yep. And this one, I use it for self-confidence and also for kind of comforting other people. I tend to give away my polished stones
Okay.
as just a, hey, you seem to be having a rough day, so here, take this rose quartz, and that will help kind of heal your heart a little bit,
nice.
feeling better. Oh, do you have to go give this presentation? Use sodalite, because then that helps your throat chakra and it clears out your
wow.
communication. Up here I have a blue quartz, and quartz in general, here's clear quartz as well. And quartz is a big amplifier and also it cleanses things, helps connect you with energies. Let's see. Spiritual healing, it charges you up. There's wonderful, anything you can Google it
Okay.
and find out pages and pages of information. Here's another jasper. This is egg. And so this one, because it's carved into this shape, it tends to help with more fertility things
Oh, interesting.
and kind of connecting to more feminine energies.
Mm-hmm.
This one here is black tourmaline. This is one of my favorites to work with, especially if I have to go anywhere in public. Black tourmaline, any of the black stones are protection stones.
Oh,
And so this one is really good for kind of like if you have a room that's got a lot of static energy, this nullifies it.
So that's a quartz.
Yes.
It has black and white. It's kind of like the Dalmatian, only it's bigger.
Yes.
It's not really polka dotted.
Yeah.
Because we have
this one's
listeners and
great.
viewers, I'm trying to give them a little bit of description of what
Definitely.
you're talking about.
Definitely. This one here is actually petrified wood. And this one, it helps if you're feeling kind of stuck in things. So that feeling of not being able to move or not knowing how to move forward, this is a really good one to do. It's also really good for grounding or creating balance. And any kind of, if you're kind of scattered, hard to focus, it's really good for that.
Do you have to do grounding exercises?
I do. At this point, when I first started learning about spirituality in general, that was about 10 years ago. And at that time, I had to like practice grounding and like have to sit down and like, it was really hard. And I would start with like, okay, I'm going to try to feel my feet and then try to kind of connect them to the earth. And I learned about it a lot through books. And so that was kind of harder for me to really connect with it. So now, because I've been practicing and, you know, practicing a lot, now it's much more second nature. So now instead of having to like consciously, I'm going to, you know, ground my body and connect to the center of the earth and connect to my higher self. Instead, now I just take a deep breath and I do it without even having to think about it.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's just
and
practice.
there are other ways to cleanse these besides
Oh, yeah.
the moonlight.
Oh, yeah.
Because you told us before the show started, you take a shower with them.
I have, yeah. Water's great. Water's wonderful for cleansing crystals, cleansing yourself. Anything you need that needs to be kind of freshened up, water's great, especially running water. You know,
And what about smoke or like sage?
Sage and smoke, smudging them works wonderfully. Yeah, it really does come down to intention. I've had people use sound and they'll clap or ring bells or gongs or chimes or that kind of a thing. It's for me, from what I've learned, it seems to be whatever works for you to kind of get across the fact that you are clearing this energy now. And so whatever tool or method that you use to do it, if it works for you, then that's the one for you.
Do you have a go-to, or it all depends on what you're feeling?
It depends on what I'm feeling. For me, I like to rearrange them a lot. So for me, you know, my cleansing process is I just rearrange them into a new thing, and then, you know, I'll say a prayer over them, or I'll light an incense or smudge them.
Do you kind of set up an altar?
Yeah, not even on purpose half the time.
Yeah, because when I saw you laid out like a
Yeah.
towel or a blanket, something like that.
Just a tablecloth.
And then I don't know if you put your crystals in a certain order.
Not usually, although there is usually intention as I set them down, although it's not always in like a, you know, a lot of people do it like I'm going to set the four corners and call the elements and that kind of a thing. That's not how I do it. But again, you know, if it works for you, there's no wrong way of doing it.
Okay.
So if it helps you get more in tune with what you're trying to do to set them in a specific order, then do that. Absolutely.
Now, our literary reference was a crystal ball, and I
Yeah.
asked you if you had one or have ever used one.
Yes,
But-
not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
And then what I read about the crystal ball is you can amplify the power through various crystals, and you said one of them
Absolutely.
already, rose quartz,
Yes.
citrine, which I'm definitely looking into that, the amethyst, and clear quartz,
Definitely.
and cleanse by running water.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we're getting this verified. So this is like the second time around for us. So
Kind
hopefully
of
it's
continuation where we left off.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for that, with amplifying purposes of things, they're usually called crystal grids, where you can get different crystals and then you can set them up in different designs with different intentions. And as you're laying them out, it's amplifying. So that's the term for it usually.
No, I think
But-
the basic theory here is that everything gives off of vibrations.
It does.
And so everything's traveling on its own wavelength. So it helps maybe you to tune into that wavelength if
Absolutely.
you have those things present.
Absolutely.
I'm buying into this. I know Brandon and Kim kind of were like the same position I was.
Yeah.
It's like we weren't exactly sure about these stones and the
Yeah.
qualities that they bring
Yeah.
if they help, but we're getting more and learning more about it. And then I went out and bought some.
Yeah.
You know so I'm buying into it.
Really, what's it hurt?
That's
Really?
that's how I feel too, and you know it works for me. So.
Especially if it's a cool ring, right, Kim? That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. To my
Beautiful
husband out
things.
there who's watching this, I see that brown stone right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
All
gonna
you
look
need to
into
do
that
is go to the
citrine.
jewelry store and look for brown.
I hope he's paying
I
attention.
know, right?
Right. Now, we ran into, on the other podcast, angel cards. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then in my research, I come up with mediumship cards, angel cards,
Yep,
oracle cards, and tarot cards. Can you kind of
Absolutely.
tell us what those are? I mean,
Yes,
what's
absolutely.
the difference?
The difference is, so the tarot is a little bit more traditional. The oracle cards and the angel cards and those kinds of things came out later. The tarot originally came about in the 1500s as just like a card game. And then it kind of took off from there, and using the different symbolism for things turned into what we know of it now, which is, a lot of people use it for divination. A lot of people use it for different kinds of self-help and connecting with yourself. And so with the oracle cards and the angel cards, it's a little more, it's a little more specifically tuned to a different thing. So with the tarot deck, as you're flipping through, it's separated into the major and the minor arcana, and so it's a little more specific. And with the oracle cards, I don't use those myself. I have friends who do. I haven't gotten to it yet, but with the oracle cards, it's a different intention.
You build your deck of oracle cards?
You can, absolutely. Yeah, usually you'll start with one, but as you kind of collect them, I'm a big fan of, like, I like to make things work the way they work for me. So what works for me might not, and probably wouldn't work for other people. But as you connect to these different cards yourself, whether it's oracle decks or angel decks or animal spirit decks or anything like that, I was watching a video today when they were talking about, they had a Star Wars deck, and there's all kinds of different things. It's whatever you want to make of it, but the tarot is a little more specific to, it takes a little more knowledge of the cards, whereas the oracle cards, it's written here on it in front of you.
Oh, that's kind of I'd need.
Yeah, it's a great place to start.
That's what it sounds like.
And a great place to keep using it later too, but it has a different feel a little bit.
Now, tarot, 78 cards.
Yes.
22 are major.
Yes. Major arcana or arcana.
56 cards are minor.
Yes.
And there are 4 suits.
Yes.
But it sounds like it depends on what kind of a deck you have, whether it's swords, pentacles, or coins.
Yes.
Wands, cups, and there are other names, batons and discs.
Yep. They're all, different names for the same things. The 4 suits in my decks, it's the pentacles, the cups, the wands, and the swords. And generally, in most decks that I've seen, that's usually what it's represented by.
Where did you get your cards from?
I actually got this deck from Spirit Dreams in Easttown.
See, now, my research tells me you're not supposed to buy your first deck of tarot cards. You're supposed to either have them given to you or steal them.
That is what I've heard as well. So far.
Hopefully they weren't stolen from Spirit Dreams.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't say you bought them from there, did you?
I've never stolen in my tarot cards yet. And the only deck I've been given, I actually ended up giving away to someone else because it was one of those, hey, apparently these are for you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I like giving them away. I haven't received one that's specifically for me yet, but I'm waiting. But with that, obviously, yes, if you want to give me a deck of tarot cards, that's lovely.
Right.
But I'm also not going to wait until you give me a deck of tarot cards to get my own.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You might want to hang on to those.
I wanted to get
they have a way of finding their way back.
Thanks, Gene. Gigs up. Now, I wanted to get a closer look at those cards.
Yes, absolutely.
I know. And they look very used. I mean,
They
it looks
are.
like, like the outside of the deck is very worn and kind of ripped. And I'm like, that's a well-loved deck of cards.
It's true. This is my go-to deck. This is the Cosmic Tarot deck.
Did you want to move some of this over here a
Sure,
little
yeah.
bit so we can show our viewers kind of like what it looks like?
Yeah, if you want to get into the reading now, that's fine
definitely
because
can.
we've got some of our questions answered. I didn't really do all the review from the last podcast, but we still have time.
Yeah.
So, but I want to make sure that we have time for this. I want to get this in.
Cool.
I know
Yeah, this is
Kim's the first one to volunteer for anything, so she's up.
All
I'm
right.
a brave girl tonight.
Brandon got
Yes.
a reading from Jamie Ray, and then they talked about that a little bit.
Well,
on
that
the
wasn't
last
a
podcast.
tarot one. That was just well, actually, she was using the angel cards.
Angel cards,
Okay,
right.
cool.
And then the way I understood the angel cards was they do the positive side, and where now your tarot cards have a negative, or they do have the death card.
They do. The death is not it.
Doesn't mean death, right?
I've done a lot of tarot readings, and I've only had the death card show up as actual death maybe 3 or 4 times.
Oh, don't
And
don't tell
like,
Kim
in
that.
a week or what?
Out of the last 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't tell
Yes.
me like a week.
No. No, generally speaking, death is talking about change and
okay.
change
Well,
to
that's
the
good
level
to
of
know.
like this is a life-changing thing that's happening.
Wow. Well,
So big changes
I might
is
get the
what
death
shows
card,
up.
I'm just saying.
All right. Yeah, no, this is a really well-worn deck. Every different deck has it almost has a different tone of voice. So it's like you're talking with different people. So this is my preferred deck when I'm doing readings for the general public or for people that I don't have an unestablished relationship with. Because this
we've
one's
never met before.
Yeah.
Let's just clear that out right now.
Right.
Yeah.
She
For the
doesn't know
listeners.
who I am.
Right.
Nope.
And this is the first time we've ever talked to each other.
Yes.
Now, is there two types of readings, general and a question reading?
Yes. You can ask a question and I can read about that specifically. Otherwise, usually in a general reading, if you have a specific question on your mind, that's probably going to come up either way.
Okay.
The cards usually end up reflecting whatever's kind of going on in your energy right now and what's been on your mind. So, all right, go ahead and you can shuffle those or cut them, or you can make a go fish pile, whatever you would like. There's no doing it wrong.
Let's just cut them just because I feel like that's just clean. And
that's
do I
perfect.
put this on top of this?
If you like.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no doing it wrong.
Okay.
This is mostly just to kind of set that intention of this is your energy that I'm going to be reading for.
Okay.
Now, I'm setting these up in a traditional Celtic Cross. That's
Celtic Cross?
Yep, the Celtic Cross is probably the most commonly used spread, and that's set up with different placements having different meanings. So for this one, I'm going to flip them all over, and then we'll go into the readings as we go.
Okay, sounds
So
good.
this one is you. Here's what's crossing you or what's influencing you. This is the root of the question. Here is what you're coming out of. Here's what's going on right now. Here's going forward into the future. This is connected to the basis of the question. This is the hopes and fears and connection to this connection, if that makes sense. Here's hopes and fears in general, and then here's you going forward.
Okay.
Okay, so
Oh boy.
slight side note. Other spreads, it'll be the same layout. They might have slightly different meanings for the placements. This is kind of the one that I've tuned based on what I've learned.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so first things first.
Yep.
Here is you, and this is the Ace of Swords. So swords is usually talking about verbal communication and or trials and tribulation. So aces are new beginnings or beginnings of new things. So with this and then this card influencing it, we have the Four of Pentacles. And so the Four of Pentacles usually shows up as a counseling card. So this would suggest with these two together that you've been working on learning how to communicate in a better way, and that you've been able to have counsel with somebody that you trust to kind of help you learn how to maybe express yourself a little more clearly and a little more authentically.
Wow.
So root of this is the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups shows up as kind of the dream card, where like I have all of these different options in front of me and I don't know which one to pick. It almost gets overwhelming because it's like, wait, how do I choose? What am I doing here? And how do I know which is the right choice to make? So we'll come back to that one in a second.
Okay.
And so coming out of this place, we have the Ten of Cups, which means that you're coming out of a place of realizing this level of emotional fulfillment that you haven't necessarily had before. So Ten of Cups is happiness, fulfillment, safety. Cups are emotions, and they're connected with water. And so this is like, okay, maybe, especially with this, I'm finally happy enough and safe enough that I can verbalize myself in a new way and not have to worry about potential backlash for speaking honestly.
Okay.
So going on right now, we have the Princess of Pentacles. And the Princess of Pentacles, I'm going to flip another card to kind of go with that. So this princesses usually show up as a younger woman. So if there's a young woman in your life, it could be her. She's probably very grounded, very good with plants, also can be very stubborn. So influencing that, we have the Six of Cups, which is talking about passion. So she's a very passionate, very deep feeling person. And, that's been on your mind a lot. And with this lineup of things, this is something that communication that you're learning how to do in a better way is influencing this, and this is being influenced by that. So going forward, we have the Magician. And the Magician is talking about basically being the master of all of the elements. It's talking about how you intrinsically have the ability to handle any and every situation that comes your way. It's inside of you, the answer to everything that you're struggling with, it's there, and you've got it, and you have that power. So now going forward, no matter what you come up against, you know that I can handle this. I can handle this, and I can handle this gracefully and probably do a really good job at it.
I could see that being true with you, because what do I know of you, Kim?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll see, right?
So,
This is all making sense so far.
Great.
Except
Right.
this.
well, then we'll come back to that in a little bit.
Okay.
So, with the Seven of Cups, we have the influence of justice. And so this is talking about that kind of overwhelmed feeling. And justice is talking about a need for fairness and a need for balance. So with that overwhelmed feeling, when it comes to having to make decisions on how am I going to handle this, you need to make sure that you are putting your needs first.
Okay.
And you need to make sure that whatever situation this is, that it is being fair to you as well as to the other people involved. Because we have the Star of Hope with that as well. So if you can honor your boundaries with that, it's absolutely going to work out beautifully. And so even better with this, we have the Star and then we have the Sun. And these are two of the most positive, well, they are the two most positive cards in the whole deck.
Wow.
So
and for me to get both of
that doesn't happen all that often.
Seriously?
Seriously, yeah. No, for these two to show up together, it's beautiful. So the Sun is like a giant gleaming yes on whatever you're planning on doing or thinking about doing. And then the Star is the Star of Hope. So that comes through as like it's going to work out fine. It's going to be okay. It's going to be great. And then the two of them together is just like, yeah, today is the day.
Wow.
Do the thing. If today is the day to do the thing, do the thing. It's a good day for it. So this is talking about with these three lined up, this is talking about how, you know, as you learn how to honor yourself and as you learn how to honor your own boundaries and that fairness and that balance, being true to yourself,
Okay.
that's never going to lead you wrong. It's
Okay.
absolutely the best way that you can interact with other people, because the best thing you can do for someone else is to make sure that you are taking care of yourself to the best of your abilities, so that way you have more to give and more to share.
That makes complete
That makes sense.
So going forward, we have the Queen of Wands. And so the Queen of Wands is a very creative individual. She's very, very fiery, very passionate. And so we might come back and connect her with these two in a second. But this is talking about how whatever projects that you have going forward, whatever new things that you're working on, looks great.
Wow.
It looks great, and it looks like it's something that's going to really fill you up with a lot of fulfillment, a lot of happiness, and a lot of excitement for whatever you've got coming for you.
Wow.
So, yes.
This is blowing me away. Quite honestly.
This is my favorite thing.
You know, because obviously we don't know each other.
Nope.
You don't know what I do, and what I've faced in my life, and what things I have going forward. But it's funny that these kind of all came. Now, does this specifically mean today, like today? Or does it mean like in the sense of today, like now, like within, or does it mean like today within the last 24 hours?
Today now. I mean, you can do today if that's what you feel like that's leading you to. Absolutely.
Well, this is interesting, right? Because I've been toying around with doing like a little part-time job.
Yeah.
And it's for a job that's just like 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for an assistant to a student ministries pastor.
Oh, cool.
Right? In a church in where I live in Holland.
Yeah.
And when I had my first interview, I felt really good about it. Like, the interview lasted over an hour, and I just connected with those people.
Cool.
And they said, we'll let you know in 2 weeks. Well, they called me in 2 days for a second interview, which was today.
Well, cool.
So I had my second interview today at 11, and I walked out of there just higher than a kite because I felt so good about the way it went.
Wonderful.
So, hello.
That looks
Yeah.
like a
Hello.
huge
Sounds like today is today.
Yes.
That's why I was
Absolutely.
asking you. I'm
Absolutely.
like, okay, because, you know, I just walked out of there very positive, and I don't know if I got the job or not, but it really
sounds pretty good.
It led me down this path of, because I applied for this job, we went to this church for the first time on this past Sunday.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved the service.
Good.
I loved the people. I was welcomed very warmly. I felt at home. The minute I walked into that church, I felt home.
Perfect.
And I said to the people today who was interviewing me, one of them being potentially my new boss, which is the pastor, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, I've never been welcomed so warmly in a church in my life. And I said, all things aside, if getting the job or not, I've got a new home.
Yes.
And
perfect.
So, goosebumps.
Yes, perfect.
Goosebumps.
So good.
And so this is making a lot of sense to me because of what just happened to me today.
Wonderful.
So, but, I mean, as far as telling the future, you know, I don't quite know. It's not really saying anything about where the future's leading me, though, is it?
Well, what would you like to know? Because I can flip a few more. So future leading forward, is that talking about like
sometimes I feel like the sense of overwhelmment, being a mom of 3, potentially having a new job, running my Ghostbuster group, still maintaining my health as a cancer survivor. Am I taking on too much? Am I biting off more than I can chew?
Right.
Is really my question.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, we have the King of Wands, and that shows up as a man, a man with the King and Queen of Wands. So I don't know if you have a partner right now.
Yes, I have a husband.
Well, that looks like he's got a lot of support for you in this venture going forward.
Yep.
And then we have Temperance, which is talking about patience and about balance, and how it would suggest that he is going to help you maintain that balance.
Okay.
And
because that was kind of one of the things we said. I'm like, well, if I take a job, how is that the household stuff gonna? He says to me, he goes, I'm gonna have to kick it in. That's what he says
nice.
to me.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm like, okay.
Get it in writing.
Oh. Gonna have to kick it in, he says to me.
Nice. I like that.
I know, right?
Sounds like he's got your back real good.
I know,
real
right?
good. Yeah, and then so we have the Temperance, and then we have a King of Cups show up again too, and that's talking about the emotional support that he's providing for you as well.
Okay. Well, that all
So
sounds positive.
That I would say so. And then we have the Moon, which is talking about, it's talking about don't be afraid of the things that you don't know yet. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's hard to not jump to, okay, what's going to go wrong?
I know.
It's like
it is.
This is this unknown, so you got to just wait and see.
Anybody who has dealt with cancer or an illness in their lives that really, you don't know what your future holds. And
absolutely.
For me, I have an incurable form of cancer. Even though I'm in remission right now, it's the fear of the unknown, and it's sometimes can hinder you from really making decisions because you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't do that because what if I get sick again? You know?
Yeah.
And the longer I've lived in remission now, the more I'm saying, well, screw that. I'm doing everything I want to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to Disney World next week.
Hey, yes. Today's the day, okay? Look.
I know, right?
Definitely.
So, yeah, well, thank you very much.
Yes, my pleasure.
This has been wonderful. Cool. I appreciate it.
I
I especially like having the 2 best cards in the whole deck show up together at once.
Yes,
I like that.
And right after another too.
I love that.
And yes, you saw me shuffle. I shuffled them before.
Oh, and
I
I
put them in the
split
box
the deck.
too. Yes.
I mean, of course.
Yep, back to back too.
I mean,
It's a double yes.
you've really hit on a lot of things that it's going on in my life right now.
Wonderful.
With having a lot on my plate. Let's just say.
Yeah, well, definitely. It sounds like it. It sounds like you've got a really good handle on it.
I hope so.
I would say
The cards
it looks like
have
it.
spoken.
This is true.
Yeah, I know you a little bit, so I was
Yeah.
able to follow that, and I could see the connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could too.
Right. And
I
then, so
could
get
too.
over to the Paddock Place, I would say.
Yeah, I'm there every Tuesday.
You gave everybody readings except me when I met you there for the second time.
Yeah.
My wife was really impressed
Thank you.
with the reading that you gave her, and then you gave Steve Wilson, the psychic medium from Australia,
I did.
Laura Briggs, and then their friend Dylan. You gave everybody a reading, and
Yes, I did.
yeah, and then I asked them about it, and then they were pretty impressed with it. So
Wonderful. I love
I mean,
good
it's a little bit spooky thing, I think. Form of divination. Does that bother you at all? I mean,
Not really. Initially, it did. Initially, I was, growing up very conservative, it was like I had no interest in it whatsoever. It was very much don't invite things that you don't know about.
Sure.
And I had a really good friend of mine, 10 years ago now, and she was into reading, and it was like, look, I don't know if I trust that, but I trust you. So go ahead and read for me. That's fine. And she read my cards and blew my mind. I was just like, okay, look. So you're telling me that these cards that I just shuffled and completely randomly selected are going to, this is talking about my life quite specifically.
Right.
And so I don't really know what to do with that.
I know.
And so I thought about it. I couldn't get it off my mind for weeks. And I did a lot of thinking, a lot of praying, a lot of just like, all right, how do I even feel about this? And it was like, look, I need to learn. So I got a deck, and it took me a month to take the plastic off the cards because I went to the library and got every single book I could find, looked on all the websites, read everything I could find. And as I was reading these different books, I was, learning like, hey, okay, look, yes, in everything spiritual, there's going to be people who abuse it or use it for bad things. But
could you give me the lottery numbers?
Probably not. If I had them, I would have already won.
Oh,
I know, right?
But no, I can't give you the lottery numbers, but I can definitely help you if you have stuff that you're having trouble kind of accepting or seeing from a way that's healthy. I can help you. For me, I use these to help you kind of adjust your own perspective on things, to be able to look at something that you see as very solid as having multiple approaches. So, it's hard sometimes, but especially when you're dealing with stuff that you're not sure how it's going to turn out. It's hard to be hopeful, and it's hard to not kind of cut yourself off at the knees when it comes to letting yourself pursue your own dreams. And so I use these to help you remember that you are a powerful divine being, and that you have so much help, and that you have so many things that you're here to do. And so you just have to remember that. And then you
does
can
your
take
psychic
it on.
ability play into it at all?
It does. It does.
Helps you read?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
interpret those cards?
Anybody can read. I was actually just talking to a girl Tuesday, and she was asking the same thing. And to me, it's like artistic talent. It's any skill. It's a creative skill. Psychic, yes, but it's you can pick up a deck and read the little booklet, and you can do a reading for yourself today with no knowledge whatsoever. For me, because I've studied these for so long, and because I've kind of developed my own relationship with these symbols, for me, it turns into much more of a psychic conversation where I'm using my clairvoyance, and I also use like a clairsentience and claircognizance, which is clear feeling and clear knowing.
Right. Luckily,
So,
we've talked about
yes.
that on this show.
Yes.
Right. And then when you read Steve was trying to read you back.
Yeah, he gave me a reading back.
Right.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really cool. The hardest thing, and well, not hardest. So everyone has psychic abilities, and
that's what I'm hearing.
We've heard that time and time
everyone
again.
Does.
Yes, we are.
Everyone does, and everyone has different strengths in different areas. So whatever you're naturally inclined to, you're probably gifted in that area, and it's just a matter of kind of allowing yourself to accept that, hey, I am special. We are all special, and we're all special in different ways.
Right. I thought it was interesting when I did a little bit of research, and I found out it said it's true and tarot cards work. It said that right in my research. I just thought that was amazing.
They do in my
experience. Yeah, they didn't hem-haw about it at all. They said that it works.
That this is, I can now say that this is my trade. This is something that I've seen work over and over and over, and with different people for different purposes and different intents, but every time.
So you can do insights into the past, present, future, love, relationships, careers, finances.
Yep.
And I think with my wife, she was interested in her job because she had just started a new job.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell me specifically
Yeah.
what you hit on, but she was impressed.
Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, I can look into pretty much anything. For me specifically, I don't spend a lot of time looking into future or past timelines. I usually end up doing like, hey, here's some past trauma that is affecting how you're making your decisions now, and here's a good way to kind of get to that and loosen it up so it stops affecting you so strongly. Same thing for here's what you want in the future. Okay, well, with this past trauma and here's your goal, what's a good way that we can kind of get you lined up with that in a way that's the best for you? And it, oftentimes it shows up as, a lot of similar things of like, look, you need to love yourself. You need to be more kind to yourself. And especially when it comes to your own inner monologues, you cut a lot of your own power by not believing in yourself. And so this is let's kind of get you back lined up with you remembering how special and important you are.
I can see that being therapeutic.
It is. I'm actually in school right now for my master's in psychology, so I can start incorporating this in a counseling environment.
Wow.
I'm
impressed.
It's a lot of I've done a lot of therapy myself, and a lot of therapists use different games and tools.
Sure.
And
a lot of them just throw books at you.
Yeah,
and be
that's
like,
not
"Here,
my favorite.
Read this.
And I like books, but no, I have done a couple in therapy session readings for other people coming into their session, so I can use these to kind of provide talking points. So like, hey, this is something that it's not always easy to get to what this is talking about, and being able to use these has helped open it up.
Right. Well, you just did that for me.
Yeah.
The perfect example is when you were talking about the sense of being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That is something I'm struggling with right now.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
And for that to come up specifically in this reading is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's uncanny.
how would you, I mean, it's just, I don't even know how to explain it.
It blows
It's
my
just
mind
so
too every single time.
It's so personal.
Yeah. And
Like, nobody knows the struggle I'm going in except none of you guys do, but
You and
I
Jesus. You and Jesus.
Right.
That's it, Kim.
That's true.
Absolutely.
And for it to come out into the cards of what is happening in an internal struggle with me right now. And it literally came out in the cards.
Absolutely.
I like the double positive that came up. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
I'm living that double positive right now,
and
man.
Soak it up.
I know.
Every time. Yeah.
Today's been a good day for me.
Good. That makes me so happy.
I know, me too.
Esther, do you do seances?
I have done some. Yes. Generally, I don't, unless it's kind of, I have one of my best friends is a medium. I'm a medium as well, but of a different caliber. And so my one friend, we'll just be hanging out, and it ends up kind of turning into a seance without even trying, really.
When you say seance, do you mean like summoning dead spirits and communicating with them?
Well, I don't usually have to summon them. They tend to show up.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. but
Okay.
I summoning, I don't usually do that.
Okay, so they show up and say,
Yeah.
okay, here, I'm so-and-so.
Yeah.
Is it
for
people
me,
you know, or is it complete?
For me, I don't see them. I can
Okay.
feel them, and I sometimes will experience dreams, or I get like clairaudient things. But that's one of those things of when I was little. My very first prayer that I remember thinking in my life was, "Dear God, please don't let me see demons." And looking back at it now, I'm like, that's an odd prayer for a young child. Like, I know monsters, but that was a very specific thing.
At what
and so
age?
I don't even know. Probably 5.
Yeah.
Well, it
Just
seems to be a common
barely,
thread here around this
yeah,
table.
real
Getting
young.
an early start.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so being able to see and interact, especially with the more negative ones, is something that I've turned off a lot. So I'm actually working now on kind of loosening that back up to be able to see it. Because for me now, like I'll see things, but it'll be more of like a shadow or just like a smudgy blur of energy, and it's like, what is that? And then you look back and then it's not there, and then maybe I'm just imagining things. And so for me, when it comes to the medium side of things, the hardest thing for me is trusting myself.
Sure.
And so I don't tend to practice that with a lot of people, just because I'm like, I don't know, I can't back that up. I don't know. I don't know how to prove that to you.
Do you feel like more negative energies come forth versus positive, or is it one-sided?
It honestly, it depends a lot on the state of mind that you're in.
Gotcha.
For me anyways. For me, I have a pretty good mix of things. I have had a lot of experiences with very negative entities. Mm-hmm. I've also had a lot of experiences with very positive ones. Sometimes they're really silly, like with things like moving around and like, oh, what the heck, where did I put my keys? I know they were right here. Come back, they're gone. 2 minutes later, they're right back where you put them, even though you just looked and they were not there. And it's just like, well, all right, what do I do with that? And then, sure, on one hand, the logical mind is like, well, you clearly just didn't see them. But on the other hand, it's like, no, but I felt around and I very, very clearly searched and looked, and they were not there 2 minutes ago, and now they're right back there. And so that's just
freaky.
That's more playful
Yeah.
than anything,
Well, you've picked the perfect place
Yes.
to do your readings. Brandon and I
that came to me.
we've done paranormal investigations there. I think back in 2012 was the first time.
Yeah.
And then recently when we met you with the radio station was out there.
Yep.
Now, what is your feelings in that building, and especially the third floor?
The third floor is definitely the heaviest. It's occupied, most definitely. As for like a number of people there, I don't have one, 5 or 6 from my own feelings.
Do you have a name, any names from the Paddock Place?
I don't, but generally speaking, that's one of those ones that as soon as I think I know it, I'm doubting it right away, so I wouldn't be comfortable even guessing.
See, I picked up Emily
Yeah.
on one of the devices.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it with my own ears. It's something that came through a device.
Cool.
And then Emily was one of the previous owners that died in the bathtub up in the blue room.
Very cool. Yeah, I
Right.
know that one.
What?
Emily.
Are you serious?
Emily,
Yeah,
right?
you can feel her when you go in that room, most definitely.
Where is this again?
Paddock Place, formerly Gibson's, formerly Mangiamo's,
Yep. It's on
Okay.
Lake Drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gilmore property.
See, I'm from Holland. I don't know these
Go to
places.
Grand Rapids, see a big mansion in the middle
Yeah.
of downtown. That's it.
Sure.
That's
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah.
So that's why the reason I brought Brandon in the first time. It was too much for
It's a
for
lot.
my little team
Yeah.
to do. So we
Yeah.
brought him in and his team at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Third floor is definitely heavier. The basement in the wine cellar is also quite heavy, but that's partly just basement, where everything kind of gets a little heavier, and there's a
Well,
lot
full
of
form
activity
apparition
there.
of a little boy was seen in the
Yes.
basement
Yeah,
by the
he's
kitchen
been
area.
seen by a lot of the people who work there as well. Whether it's just following someone around or running down the hallway, that kind of a thing. He's very active. He actually, when I had my reading, I'm completely blanking on his name. The Australian psychic.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve Wilson.
Yes, when Steve did my reading for me, he picked up on the boy staying close to me because of sharing some of
I
our
didn't know
childhood
that.
trauma. Yeah, and so he tends to stay close to people who make him feel safe. Yeah.
Has anybody done research on who that little boy could be?
No.
Okay.
But there was a group of boys that lived there in like a foster care
Sure.
orphanage situation,
Right.
and that was when it was being
the
run by
friars.
the monks. Yeah.
Right.
He
Yeah.
could have died there.
So-
Maybe gotten
Well,
sick or
I don't know,
something.
you-
Could've.
Who knows?
You know the
Yeah.
Or
what
residual.
you're hearing about the stuff nowadays that went on.
Yeah. You don't know.
Yeah. He feels a little more active than a residual.
Okay.
Yeah. And that, not saying he doesn't come in and out, because he does, but
Yeah,
But,
I think
no,
it'd be
he's
an
a
intelligent
resident.
haunting there without
Yeah.
a doubt.
yeah.
We went around that night that I met you. There was a lot of people there.
Yes.
And it's tough to do an investigation with that many
Yes.
people.
Yes.
But we went around, had everybody say hello. And when it got to the last person out of about 15,
Yeah.
we got a reply. And
Yep.
it wasn't through a device.
No.
They just said hi to that person.
Yeah. Real
One
cool.
person out of 15, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something there. That's a perfect place.
Yes, definitely.
Well, that's the one too where I had down in the basement where I thought one of our other investigators had went down there, and I guess I could hear like the person walking down the hallway, so I'm following because that's kind of a hallway that kind of curves around. So
Yeah.
if you're following it, so I'm like, okay, they got to be in front of me. I'm calling out. I'm like, okay,
Nope.
like. So I follow all the way down to the end, and like there's nobody there. I'm like, I thought like somebody was gonna be hiding, gonna jump out and try to scare me because they weren't responding
Right.
to me.
Right.
But I knew
that
there was somebody in front of me though.
Yes.
the
I've-
area of the winery.
Yes.
Yeah, where the
Yeah.
wine cellar is.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard footsteps there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then same thing for like the third floor. When you get off the elevator, it feels like gravity shifts a little bit. The third floor, the feeling that I got was from a woman, probably younger, but very, very unhappy. And that's kind of where that heaviness comes in when you go into that side room. And my friend who's the medium, she picked up that there had been something, she had been attacked. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
we got something similar.
That was the same
too.
thing I think Ray
Right.
Lynn was picking up on when we
Yeah.
were there was,
Right,
Yeah,
and that
she's
elevator seems
during
to have a mind of its own.
it is. It's funny how that kind of stuff ends
Yeah,
up
we all
being
got
like,
on
hey.
it. We all got on it. It would not go down. The doors would
Nope.
not shut. As soon as we get off, it shuts and goes down without us. So.
You're like,
The sense of humor is
Yeah.
not missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that happens a lot,
Yeah.
apparently, because
Yeah.
I've had other people tell me stories
It does.
about that
It
elevator.
does. It's real goofy.
It's like they're like pleading, come on now and let me
Yeah, you
out
gotta
of here.
sweet talk it a little.
Right.
Just be like, all right, you guys, come on, we gotta go sometime. We can't stay here forever. But yeah, they like the busyness.
And then you also have a connection with a paranormal investigator.
I do. Which one? Oh, with my friend.
Your friend.
Yes, my best friend is a medium, and she was the one who was there when we were doing that.
Oh no, I met your
investigation.
boyfriend. Isn't he?
Oh.
Doesn't he have
Oh
a team?
yeah, my boyfriend does too.
Oh,
he hasn't been
him.
actively. No, I'm sorry. No, he hasn't been actively investigating in
Oh,
a while.
okay.
So no, but yes, no, he does. He was
Had
very
you
interested.
gone
in
with
that.
him at all?
Not yet, but I'm looking
Okay.
forward to it.
Yeah, you'd be great.
I like it a lot. Like I said, I've had a lot of interactions with different entities or beings, and so I guess I forget to do the investigation side of things because I'm interacting with them already, and so it's like, hey, you should take pictures, and it's funny because I don't have the pictures with me, but that investigation night there were some really interesting shadows, if you will, in some of the pictures from the Paddock Place. But I've had a lot of pictures, especially when you get like the light trails through things or orbs or for pictures, that's I think the most that I've had. Some faces showing up as like kind of a hazy face, and that's usually kind of somebody just hanging around. Sometimes it's specific to people, but like I said, I'm not tuned in enough to
Oh
know.
yeah, I've heard about some of the pictures
Yeah,
of the shadows.
yeah.
Now, when I went up to the third floor, my camera, my digital camera, or my video camera would not work.
Nope.
They said they had low batteries.
Yeah,
But then when I went outside, I took
yeah.
all kinds of pictures with the same camera, the
Yep.
same batteries. So there's
That's-
something spooky
That's very
going on
common.
up there.
Yeah, very common. With paranormal, anything interfering with electronics is a big thing. And I've had that before too, or where it goes from full charge to completely drained in a second, and it's
Right,
like, well,
yep.
hold
How do
on,
you- I
because
mean-
I've got backups and those are done too, and so now what? And then
Yeah.
buttons don't work. All kinds
That's
of
a common phenomenon,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Now, do you use incense at all, or any?
I do more just because I enjoy them, for intentions or smudging or that kind of a thing. They're great, but for me, smudging wise, I like sage and I like the Santo Paulo. But
Right, and I want to talk about those before we're done tonight.
yeah,
But this is something that I heard at one time.
yeah.
If you get too many psychic mediums in one room, do you guys like cross wires? Your wavelengths get crossed, and it doesn't really work for you, or is that just
Either
BS?
okay, I have experienced that because it can get a little staticky. The other one is everybody gets on the same wavelength, and everybody starts finishing each other's sentences.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and like I said, everybody's pretty psychic. Everybody has a lot of empathy already, so it's not hard to tune into people.
When Laura Briggs was on,
Yeah.
she sat right here. I couldn't get the question finished, and she was already answering it. I swear.
Yeah.
A few times that night.
Yep.
Yeah, she was already there answering my questions. I didn't even get the whole
happens a
question
lot.
out.
Yeah, it ends up feeling like a conversation with your best friend where you know what you're talking about before you even get done talking about it, and everybody else is like, "What on earth are they saying?" Yes.
Something I experienced with smudging
Yeah.
is like a drainage of energy.
Yep. Yeah, it can.
Bad sometimes, to the point that I slept for 2 days after an
That sounds
investigation.
like you've cleared out some pretty big stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not every time, but and then that seems to be something that's common too.
Definitely. Well, because clearing things, it's your cleaning. It's a lot of work, And sometimes, if you do it right, you do it balanced and you do it on a regular basis where it doesn't take a lot out of you. But other times, same thing with most spiritual or any kind of self work of like, hey, if you're working on something, it requires a lot of energy mentally just to deal with it. So as you're clearing this energy, you are clearing energy out of your body, and then you've got to readjust to it. And so then the energy you do have moves around too. And so, yeah, no, it can
Do
be
you have
very
to
draining.
smudge yourself?
I mean, sometimes. It depends. For me, I don't as much anymore unless I'm having days where I'm having a lot of trouble focusing. And then it's like, you don't really realize that I haven't taken care of that in a while until it's like, why am I so frazzled? It's like, well, because you've got everybody's energy on you.
Okay.
And so you got to kind of get it off.
You brought up the Palo Santo wood.
Yes.
It's 2 words, Palo
Yep, Palo Santo. I think I called it Santo
Santo.
Palo before.
It's used for smudging and cleansing negative energy. It brings in good fortune.
It is.
It brightens energy, promotes positivity and joy. It reduces stress and anxiety, enhances clarity and concentration.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamie Ray uses this on herself.
It's wonderful for that.
And then she uses the charcoal for blessing. Mix the cross with
That's
the charcoal.
Right. Yep,
Yeah.
she said that.
Right.
Definitely.
And then so I'm going to start doing that.
It's a great practice.
I'm going to smudge
Yeah.
with sage, but then bless with this Palo Santo
Yeah.
wood.
That would it smells wonderful too.
Yeah,
right,
she
better
brought
than the
some.
sage,
Yeah, it's-
right?
Even without burning it, you can just.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really nice.
I know, right? And we were sniffing it, and it was really nice.
Jamie Ray uses, let the light of God surround you. Let the love of God enfold you. Let the power of God protect you in Jesus' name. And that's her mantra. And I did a couple of mine, but
Yeah.
I'm adding her mantra
That's a good one.
to my ritual.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have 3 now. Brandon's heard them a few times.
Yeah.
He's heard me go through them. And then at the end, well, I use feathers, of course.
Yeah, I see.
I use the feathers for smudging, for getting the smoke around.
Yeah.
And it's actually
beautiful.
significant.
Yeah.
Those colors, red, yellow, black, and white.
Mm-hmm.
Red represents the east, where all knowledge and wisdom comes from, and understanding.
Yep.
And yellow represents the south, where the southern winds bring maturity. And black represents the west, where man is reminded of the setting sun, the end to all things. And then white represents the north, where the Great Spirit lives. And then that's what makes the smudging a pagan ritual, because you're asking that the sage be blessed. I'm asking that the winds carry that smoke to every nook and cranny. But at the end, like I said last show, I call on Jesus, and as Jamie Ray
Absolutely.
does, for protection. Yeah, I'm incorporating some of the things. I like the way she did hers. I like the way she described it. But I always end mine smudging the same way. It's
Yeah.
with the ringing of a bell.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Go in peace, be freed from your suffering, seek out the light. And Brandon's seen me ring this bell. We had a parade of mice.
Parade of mice, yeah. He said clean the spirits and the mice out.
Yeah.
They went after one of
We were-
our other investigators, started freaking out.
Yeah, there was a few of them. They were
Right.
going right in front of me, and they were just, I was like, I was the Pied Piper, just leading them mice out of the house.
Right.
I also have had dogs attack me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, when I'm ringing the bell, doing the smudging, and
Yeah.
they're hanging onto my pant leg.
Oh, brother.
So, yeah, I wanted to clear that up. I know Gene had been, Gene actually missed that show, but we had talked about the smudging, so
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of clear that up. And how about a scrying mirror? I mean, you said this
That is
this thing is
a scrying ball.
scrying ball, because you get the reflection.
Yes.
And then that's something that Brandon knows about, the scrying mirrors.
Yeah.
Well, we had kind of an interesting experience. It was me and one of my other team members, Tammy, and we were at the Old Mill Dundee. They have like the one that they made at the Hinsdale house. They had constructed it there, and we were both looking into it. We both like telepathically like had like the image of the American Gothic painting.
Yeah.
Guy with
Like
the
we didn't see it. We
pitchfork.
didn't see it in
Cool.
the mirror, but we both
Yeah.
had that image
That's the
telepathically
one.
come into
Cool.
our head.
Real cool.
So yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, and that's the coolest thing about when it comes to scrying is like most of the time you're thinking that you're going to see it with your eyes, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it flits through your mind, and you're like, well, was that just something that I thought of, or was that something that just came to me? And that kind of ties in with like the main practice of honing your psychic abilities is learning how to trust yourself and learning how to be like, okay, let me not doubt that right away. And so when you see stuff, it's mostly telepathic. Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm seeing that painting. She's like, no, I just saw that painting too.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie Ray also said she uses her mother's
Yeah.
Yeah, she said that.
or her, was it her mom's or her
I think so.
grandmother's
Something like
rosary. I
Yeah.
use one, and
Yeah.
I have it, and I bless it, and I leave it with the client.
Cool.
So I'm kind of leaving
Yeah,
something
that's
behind.
real good. Protection.
And then I actually wear my grandfather's wedding ring.
Yeah.
When my dad's dad married my mother's mother, this is what this wedding ring's from. And my grandpa, he was the ghost hunter that
Yes.
coached me at
There
5
you
years
go,
old.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I wear this to all investigations or smudging.
Wonderful. And he
rituals.
stays right there, keeps an eye on you.
Right. It's getting late, believe it or not.
know.
So we need to get
Time
into
flies when you're having fun.
It
right?
does.
we
it
need to
is.
get, but what a good demonstration.
Yes, this has
we
been
learned more
wonderful.
about
That's
these
great.
crystals.
Yeah.
We go into the final thought, so you guys plug your stuff now, and then if you have something that you want, another point that you want to bring up, let's get that in. Who wants to start? Brandon, you want to?
Well, I just have a question I didn't get a chance to
Okay.
ask about the tarot cards. Now, there's obviously what the card is, but like on the artwork of like different cards, does that have any impact?
Yeah.
Like on how you read it,
Definitely.
outside of just like what the card itself is.
Definitely.
Okay.
And that's another fun thing about how every card kind of has, every deck has a different tone.
Yeah.
Every artist, it's a different thing. So it's whatever you connect with the most. And so everybody's going to have a slightly different interpretation of the images on the card. And so with some, let's see, find one that's. So with this one, we have the Two of Pentacles. And this man is walking, it looks like he's walking on water, kind of going over the snakes and maintaining this balance while he's kind of checking over his shoulder and making sure that everything's where it's supposed to be. That the meaning of that card is that you are already taking steps. You are deliberately placing your feet and making these steps in the direction of the things that you want, and that you're probably doing a better job at it than you think. And so, you know, for me, I have some cards in here that if you read the little booklet, they're going to say something different than what I read it as, but that's because that's kind of the meaning that I've put to it.
Okay.
So, yes.
Interesting.
And, you know, additionally on that note, you know, sometimes specific symbols have really, really strong meanings to individuals. And so it's like, I don't know what this means, but this is what this is talking about. And then upon talking about it more, then it's like, oh, that's what it is. This means that.
Okay.
You know, this is something that's been in my life for a long time, and it shows up, but I just didn't realize that that's what that was talking about.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where your interpretation comes
Yes.
in.
Yep. And that's kind of tuning into that clairvoyance.
Good question.
Yeah. Very good.
Do you want, I know you got stuff coming
Yeah,
up
final
though.
thoughts.
We do
events.
have, Friday, October 4th, we do have the event out in Muskegon at the USS, or it's the ship out there. You can find that on our Kent County Paranormal page. We have an event coming up, I believe, October 29th at Hackley Library. We're doing a presentation there. So you can find more information about our events on the Kent County Paranormal Facebook page.
Yeah, you did an investigation out there.
Yeah, at the Torrent House. But no, it's another part of the library system, but it's kind of next to the Hackley Library.
Right. We also did a brewery out there too at one time. Not recently, but
Yeah.
Unruly Brewing Company.
Yeah.
So you're going to talk about that at all?
We might cover that. I think we're going to be covering kind of the stuff in that area, and then probably because the ship's in Muskegon too. So if we get anything from there, we'll probably share some of what we got from there as well.
So go out and check that out. It's free, right? There's no admission.
It's,
Well, there is the ship.
The
there is
presentation
admission.
is free. The ship is $10. It was going from like 7 to 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a
there's not-
long thing.
There's
right?
not a public investigation afterwards, but some of the teams will be investigating after.
Cool.
But yeah, it'll be kind of like there'll be different stations set up, kind of showing kind of different things that we do during paranormal investigations. I will be presenting, our team will be presenting the Estes method. And after that, there'll be a question and answer session with members of the different teams. Because I think they got 5 or 6 different teams. No, Darren from Lakeshore is
Yep,
going to be
he's
out there.
gonna be
Map It. Grasp is the one that's hosting it, and there's a couple other teams out there.
Right.
As well.
I talked to Connie from
Yeah.
Grasp, and I said, Connie, is it haunted? She goes, this has a reputation.
Well, that ship, if you look at everything that it was in, it was part of the D-Day. It was part of, like, a huge part of World War II history. So
It has to have residual
yeah,
energy.
I think they said, like, it transported, like, 9,000 troops. There was a bunch of, the bodies that they transported back on it, German prisoners that they transported on it. So that's got a lot of history. So,
Right.
yeah.
Really
Sounds like
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really cool.
I forgot my phone, so I'm going by memory here. This Saturday is Pumpkin Festival, downtown Zeeland. So if you want to come out and see an amazing fall festival parade, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, just a very homey, fun, family-friendly pumpkin fest. And so Ghostbusters will be entertaining the crowd during the parade. And then I think it's the 25th, whatever the Friday before Halloween. I think it's the 25th. My group's going to be over at Tropical Smoothie Cafe in Holland, and we are doing a Halloween family fun night where 20% of the proceeds that evening from 6 to 8 will be donated to Shields of Hope.
Super.
Which is an organization made up of first responders, and they give back to families who are dealing with cancer diagnoses. So very proud and honored to be teaming up with that business and giving back to the community that way to help more people.
Wonderful.
I love you and what you do.
Yeah.
That's great.
Just, it just keeps flowing. It really does. One thing's flow into another, and I get these phone calls just out of random. Like Tropical Smoothie Cafe. We went there for a fundraiser this spring. Ended up getting to know the people there because we absolutely love visiting there.
Yes.
As a participant of, and got to know the people. And I said, listen, here's my card. I'm with the Ghostbusters. You ever want to do something together? Give me a call. Cool. They gave me the call.
Yes.
And said, listen, we really want to up our participation of giving back to the community, and we would love to partner with you. Mm-hmm. And I said, I am all in. And so we sat down as a group and said, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to give back. And then we're there to kind of bring the people in. And special events for kids will be there, giving out candy. And so got to get your trick-or-treating in. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of extra candy and maybe some.
Right. I've been to the Zeeland thing before because I used to work out there. And
yeah.
They get a big turnout.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole city's down there.
The whole town comes down for it. Yeah. But those are, I'm sure I'm missing a couple things. I'm doing a story time at Howard Miller Library this month.
Right. You mentioned that in the last podcast.
Oh my gosh. What else am I doing? Oh, I'm doing the huge trunk or treat at Culver's in Grand Haven. I think that's like the 21st or something like that. It's a Monday night. I don't know where all these kids come from, but they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
I think we gave out over 800 to 1,000 pieces of candy last year in like 2 hours.
So check out your Facebook.
Oh my
just
gosh.
in case those dates aren't correct.
Right.
Yeah,
So check
I'm
that
going by
out.
memory.
Okay.
Please
Yeah,
just
it's
go.
hard to remember all the dates.
It is because
Right.
Ghostbusters, October, busy season, right?
Yeah.
So just go to Facebook, look up Tulip City Ghostbusters, go to the events page. Everything is listed there, plain as day for you to look at.
Cool.
Okay. Esther
right.
Joy, anything you want to plug besides Paddock Place and your readings?
I have my Tarot Tuesdays at the Paddock Place. I'm on Facebook, all one word, at Esther Joy Tarot. And I have an event coming up. It's going to be October 31st through November 3rd, and it's Macabre Ghosts of Paddock. And that's going to be live theater, live music, and then I'm going to be leading the tarot side of that upstairs on the 3rd floor.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, my final thought is I'm plugging an upcoming event for us. A new Rick Wade is coming in. Rick is the author of a couple books here. Rick considers himself a seer, and he's friends with. We're all friends with Rick.
Yeah, we all know each other.
Right. So that's going to be an interesting show. That's like October 23rd, and then Citrine Noir, one of our favorites.
I haven't met her yet.
Yeah, right. Gene's saving up bodily fluid so we can do some of her recipes. Yeah, we're gonna put a spell on somebody because that's the day before Halloween.
That's gonna
So
be
we're
a
gonna
fun
decorate
one.
a little bit and have some
Yes.
fun with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gene, we're dressing up. Just to let you know.
Yeah, she's a cryptozoologist.
Oh, cool.
She's authored a couple books that we had in here, but she's also authored another book. She just came out, and it's Mothman and Other Flying Creatures of the Midwest. And that was one of the things I said was the scariest for me. Anything that can fly and catch me that way. I got a chance to outrun something that's on the ground, but if it can fly, I figure I'm caught already.
No fun.
And then November, it doesn't slow down
Ugh.
because November we've
Yeah.
got a couple bookings too. We've got the Living Proof Paranormal Investigations, and they're from Nunica area.
Okay.
Have you heard of them, Brendan?
I have not heard of them before. But
So we're bringing
there's a
them in.
lot of teams.
Right,
in West
there-
Michigan,
there is.
Right,
too.
and then this is what this
Yeah.
platform we're using it for,
Yeah.
so they can get their message out too. So it'd be nice to talk to them. And then guess who's coming back? Lakeshore Paranormal.
Yes.
So Darren is coming back. Darren
Good.
Dykehouse.
He's got so much to share.
Right, and we haven't really got to the details.
I feel like we haven't even peeled back the first layer of
Right.
the onion with that man.
Yep,
Right.
and he's bringing Dave in, so it's going to be the Darren and Dave show.
That's good.
And then that's going to be late in November. So,
People will not want to miss that one.
right. So stay tuned. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much
Esther
for having
Joy.
me.
reading
My
too.
pleasure.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's good.
Peace out.